talented with the CP Kestrel, having teams banded away from him even when the Kestrel wasn't in the meta. So it could be something that we have to keep our eyes on for in this draft for Tempo Storm.
Another thing that I mentioned is the Reza pick, obviously, for both of these teams. The thing that these teams need to keep in mind is if you want to pick up Reza, you have to be very careful about the Cruel counter pick coming out if you don't ban it, because Cruel is actually a great matchup into the Reza because both he can shut him down in dueling, Cruel comes out on top, and the fact that Cruel is a little bit tankier so he can't get bursted down by Reza. The Ardent pick comes up for Tempo Storm.
Yep.
Playboy Afro plays this hero actually very well. We've seen it in the past on the side of Hollywood Hammers. Now we're going to be seeing him play it against them.
Now, honestly, it feels like we've gone back to summer season right here with the Lyra and the Ardent basically every game coming on through. It feels very reminiscent of that. Blackfeather going to be the ban coming out from Tempo Storm, something that's been incredibly strong. Although, to be honest, I feel like we haven't seen that much Blackfeather strength on the stream here today.
Also,
we all know.
Banned.
Exactly. It's been banned most of the games. When we have seen it, it's not really had that great effect, but we've all seen it in solo queue. We've all seen the power of this pick. Petal going to be taken away as well.
The Petal gets taken away, and to me, this is baiting the Reza pick because now if they go for it, they can easily take the Cruel and not have to worry about some sort of a weed flex. On top of that, if Reza doesn't get picked, they could probably pick it and feel confident enough to play it even against the Cruel because Status is that type of player who can feel confident enough.
Absolutely. Look at the kill participation from Gaspy right there. 97% almost. That is insanely high.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to take it with a grain of salt. They haven't played that many games, and they haven't gotten that many kills. So, averaging 3 kills a game when you're getting 96 for kill participation, if your team's only getting 4 kills in a game, that's, you take the good with the bad there. But they are going to lock in this Kestrel. There is the possibility this does end up being a weapon Kestrel in the lane, but I am really, really hoping that we get to see Hyde return to form with a Crystal Kestrel, because his Crystal Kestrel has been one of my favorite in the world. I enjoyed watching Hyde's Crystal Kestrel even more than I'm the Doom's, and that's saying something because I'm the Doom was phenomenal with it.
Indeed, I mean, it's a flex pick coming for the side of Tempo Storm, and like I said, they don't end up taking the Reza. Status goes ahead and picks it up for himself. He's going to be playing so aggressive with this pick, especially after he picks up his Aftershock, just because he's such a confident player that likes to dominate the enemy jungler. The Vox also comes through, starting all over, plays this hero very well. Tempo Storm, I like the fact that they've saved their last pick as a counter pick with the flex that's coming out from Kestrel. This is the strength of the B-side draft. You have to use that last pick to sort of try to get an advantage, at least either in the jungle or the lane for one of your roles to allow them to play aggressive. The Cruel could come out, but they decide to go with the Samuel instead, and Hyde is going to be choosing to play the Samuel versus the Reza. I mean, if anyone is going to be able to know what to play against Reza, definitely going to be Hyde.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to mention that we've been talking about siege compositions across the course of today. Samuel and Kestrel is kind of the classic siege composition where you could just set up in that lane, incredibly difficult to get you out of that, and with an Ardent to shield away from trades and things, that looks like a pretty great siege composition to me.
Yeah, and with the fact that the Reza came through, I do like the decision to put the Kestrel into the lane. As much as I would have loved to have seen a Crystal Kestrel, the Reza can just burst her down so quickly from a long range away and can use the dashes and things like that to get into her face. It makes a lot of sense to put the Kestrel up into the lane. Samuel has a lot of durability when going up against the Reza, so it could actually be a very interesting matchup, especially at the level 2 mark for Samuel versus Reza.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to see how this one's going to pan out. A lot is on the line in this matchup. It's time to jump into Hollywood Hammers going up against Tempo Storm. Let us know on Twitter who you guys at home are wanting to see take this game. Hashtag Vainglory is how you can get involved in the conversation. Make sure to tell your friends to get involved on the stream as well. It's time, though, to jump on into this game. It's time to pass it over to our casters and head into series number 3 of North America here. Let's start off our final series of the day as we pass it over to Dowsy and the Source.
Thank you very much, Munchables, and I've got something to say, Source. I've been playing a lot of Reza. I've been, getting to know him inside and out, and I would like to challenge everything the analyst said about Reza. Basically, Reza destroys Samuel. It is a direct counter matchup into Samuel. Status will have a fun time in the jungle if Hyde is not careful and Playboy Afro isn't able to somehow keep Hyde alive because of The chase down ability that Reza has, it's just something Samuel can't deal with. Equally, Reza pretty good into open power Kestrel. Not as good as perhaps some other picks, but with some good coordination, Hammers are in for a great time to take down Tempo Storm.
Now that the Reza rant is over, I completely agree on all points. I feel like Reza is a little too mobile for Samuel to deal with. Maybe there's that siege potential. Maybe you set things up really well. You get that lane dominance. You avoid letting Reza find those early to mid-game kills, and you can really make it an objective fight. But if they don't, if they play these, mid-area skirmishes, Reza gets that aftershock, and I say goodbye to Gasping Hyde.
It's exactly that. The early game is what Tempo Storm have to play around. In this early levels, they have so much sieging potential. Samuel is at his strongest right now against Reza in these pre-Aftershock levels. As soon as status hits Aftershock, it completely gets flipped on his head. We haven't even started to touch on the fact that we're playing on 2.9.1 and the CP items have been completely changed. Samuel's build path is still up in the air. No one is certain what the best build path is on Samuel at the moment. And so when you put that into the topic, the conversation about Tempo Storm's chances against what Hammers are currently showing, it just gets tougher and tougher for Hyde.
Yeah, I'm still partial to the Frostburn and still make use of that with the Malice and Verdict. That core strategy behind the way you'd play Samuel and Kite is still there. But then past that, I don't know. I think the lull on the damage output from Samuel, maybe Dragon's Eye isn't necessarily the best choice. Maybe it gets picked off too quickly in status, but then nice. Did he get the steal on that?
He didn't get the steal. Hyde was able to secure it. If he got the steal, then this would be Hammers looking for a fight here. Instead, Hyde is able to secure it. He's going to move into lane. Actually stops the backport from status. Oh, that's huge. Tempo Storm can march into the enemy jungle now if they want to, or they can look for a fight. Status, well, he's just playing silly buggers right now. Hyde chasing under the turret. Can't quite find a kill, but a lot of damage has been outputted. Status looking to try and turn this one around, but the healing flask has been popped by Hyde for the healing. Status will be moved out of his own jungle as Hyde is just putting down the damage. This is what we were talking about. This is the best moment for Hyde to make use of Samuel's damage. Right now, while Status is weak, doesn't have items, he is vulnerable. He's currently in the enemy jungle. He's not even looking to steal the backs. He's just looking to escape and backport. He's locked all his camps, and this is kind of the win condition of Tempo Storm. They're playing it perfectly. They are bullying this Reza in the early game and stopping him from getting gold income into his system. If they can hold him down for a little bit longer, maybe Tempo can play around the Reza.
Yeah, Hyde is doing a good job of clearing out the camps very quickly. I like the play from Playboy Afro to just chase status all over the map. That's just going to be more value for them. There is, I still think, we talked about the item build for Hyde. There's still kind of a lull. I don't know where Samuel gains that where he really gains his value. Yes, they can set up a siege, but that hasn't really been what Tempo's been interested in. There was a bit of a siege when they were kind of poking around the sides. That was still kind of kill-based. That was very much pressure-based. They haven't set up and grouped up to just kind of output massive damage. Hyde has those two major crystal power pieces to build something significant. Maybe we still see the Frostburn, I'm not sure. Status.
I think Samuel is possibly the only hero that I would actually build Frostburn on at this point. Malice and Verdict has two portions to it, the Malice and the Verdict, and they both would proc 1 second of slow each. So the first one hitting would slow, the second one hitting would extend that slow a further second, basically resetting the timer on it. And once you get that Drifting Dark down, it's very quick, those Malice and Verdicts. They're up every second, so the slow is actually huge from Hyde, and so that's where the Frostburn is very effective for the Samuel still. But then you would need to build damage, you would need to build a lot of it as well. Probably go into an Eve Harvest second, then a Broken Myth, and then quite possibly a Dragon's Eye as your last item. Hyde's really going to have to prioritize 4 CP items, I think, if he wants to stay effective, because Tempo Storm only win these teamfights if they batter Hammers early on in the team fight and basically prevent Hammers from engaging on top of them.
So, status, I actually don't think he's that far behind. I think he's done a good job of staying out of trouble. Here comes Tempo's, very, very strong siege. This should be the first turret going down. Nice bit of golden
Wants to
flips
kill
on them.
though.
Status wants to fight.
Gonna move in. Doesn't quite land the Scorcher. Onto Hyde. It goes onto Playboy Afro, but there it is. Detonation goes out straight into Oblivion, putting him to sleep. Great usage there by Hyde. Shuts down Status in his entirety. Status does have the gold to go finish his Aftershock now, though. Hyde, with 1,300 gold in inventory, may even go towards one of the newer CP items, or even towards a Shadow Glass. It's going to be very interesting to see where he does go, but this is where Status now has a lot of power available to him. The burst available via Scorcher, Firestarter, and Aftershock all alike. It's just very difficult to deal with. We'll have to see how confident Status is feeling now that item is online.
You should definitely feel confident enough to take the fights, but there's definitely some concern about how hard they can kind of engage. Without having the ultimate up for Lyra, Chicken can't set up that just initial jump into the backline, so there might still be space for Hyde to continue to scale up a little bit more before they have to deal with Status really starting to hard engage these team fights.
Status, with that Firestar into Hyde, can jump on in and do so much burst. Look at that, Hyde starting to feel this counter that is the Reza right now. Playboy Afro has to be the body blocking machine. Stop these Scorchers from hitting Gatsby and Hyde. You can block them if you stand in front of your targets, and it is going to significantly hurt Status's damage output in a team fight. Really on Playboy Afro to make this team composition work against the Reza more than anything else. Very difficult task for him, especially now that he's replaced Lost Boy Top on the starting roster for Tempo Storm. There's an Oblivion going out. It puts two to sleep. Starting all over's trapped. Status will sub on in. Never form detonation. He's got the stacks. One kill goes over to Status. And he will just disengage the turret aggro. They can move in and take this turret. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hammers now take that down and bring the gold lead a little bit closer to even.
So before that kind of extended siege started, we mentioned that the gold for Hyde was at 1,300. He had the time to gain 700 more gold. They kept him there for so long. He never got to buy a significant item, never got that first item power spike. So just great from Hollywood Hammers to lay in the pressure while there was kind of, a damage trough for Hyde. He has now picked up the Frostburn. He has that additional heavy prism. He's gonna start to really do what he's supposed to do, but they exploited him during what was a great moment of weakness.
Now, for Status, you see him building towards a Dragon's Eye second, which seems to be very popular here in North America. Will mean that his damage output will increase. Reza does have fairly significantly low CP ratios, which means that even at 9 stacks, the Dragon's Eye isn't hugely as effective as perhaps on a Celeste, but it will mean that if he's able to keep those stacks available and up in team fights, then he is definitely going to do more burst damage with those Firestarter procs, so it's something to watch out for. Also maxing his A for the extra range. This is possibly one of the only compositions that I would argue maxing your A is good into, because of the fact that Tempo want to play so far away from yourselves. It's double mage, or it's double, I guess, it's artillery, you could argue. And so they want to play very far, this Kestrel and this Samuel. And so by maxing your Scorcher, your A, you get extended range and you can hit those Scorchers from quite a distance, meaning that Firestarter is ready to be procced. Otherwise, I think the argument, I always make the argument that VMAX is better. Wow, great Gauntlet taps up Status. He's going to go back in with an M-Form detonation. Blows up Hyde! He's just straight up dead! What is this damage? It's unreal from Reza. Yeah, Samuel doesn't do well into Reza at all, but they've taken down starting all over, which means that Hammers are back off here. Status and Chicken don't want to challenge Gatsby, who has actually opted in for double crit before a what is it called? Sorrow Blade. What do you think that's about?
Not entirely sure. There isn't a lot of armor, so maybe just the value on the crits is something he's interested in getting. Also, if you pick up the crit earlier, it means that you're going the spike in terms of value and damage. So as you add more damage in, you're just gonna get better value out of it every time you continue to stack damage on more, instead of having to then build up the crit later and look for kind of a power spike. I'm assuming that's kind of what he's looking to do. Maybe he also just likes the look of 2 Tyrant's monocle in his inventory. It's definitely up for debate. I want to say that it's going to mean longer team fights are better for them, but it's hard to say until we see kind of a better positioned team fight for Tempo. Because the last one, Hyde got bursted down, took a lot of damage, and he only really managed to come out of it because starting all over committed a little too far under the turret.
I do have to apologize, guys. I am from Europe. Well, I'm actually from Australia, but I live in Europe, which means and in Europe and Australia we pronounce STA US as status. I know it's status over there in the States, and that is his name. So I will wake up my tired brain and try and pronounce his name a little bit more correctly. That's a great engage coming out of Chicken. Now Status going to be looking to engage on top of Hyde. Look at the damage outputted onto Gatsby, deleted off the Halcyon Fold. And we've only Hyde and Playboy Afro left alive, and with the Lyra to heal up Hammers. Hammers going to continue this siege. Hyde is in trouble if Status can land a Scorcher on top of him. Currently Playboy Afro doing a great job of body blocking, making Status's life a little bit more difficult here. But there it is, it's connected. Does he go in is the question. No, he wants to heal him first. So he will be backing off for now. And looks like Hammers can't win this fight. Fountain will come out. They are just going to disengage here. Hammers just finding a single kill and bouncing away.
So Gatsby's definitely going for a sustained damage build, but that last fight didn't really matter. He got bursted completely by Status. He was removed from the fold pretty much instantly. The Dragon's Eye is there, so as the fight goes on, we'll definitely see, you know, a matching of that damage, but it is a breaking point going over to Gatsby, so the longer that team fight goes, if those breaking point stacks are up there, that's going to be a lot of attack speed. That's really kind of where the damage is coming from, and maybe an armor penetration item that comes afterwards for Gatsby, or he goes into that Sorrow Blade, you know, goes for that full damage. Won't be building a Tornado trigger now, so not getting that kind of full attack speed crit build going. We've got the Eve of Harvest from Hyde, so it's really, you know, despite the changes in 2.9.1, it's still the same old Samuel. Hasn't really been able to be as effective as they wanted. They haven't sieged since probably about 4 minutes when they got that initial turret. So starting to feel like the pace is really in favor of Hollywood Hammers, and we'll see whether or not Status is able to pick up his broken myth in a timely fashion and really just drive home the point that nothing is safe for the side of Tempo.
All right, Source, you're from the States, so you have no excuse of mispronouncing
I say Status and
name.
Status depending on the word. Like, depends on the sentence that I'm using it in. Like, it's Status if you're talking about, like, how something is doing, but it's Status when you're talking about effects.
All right, well, we're going to have to focus up on the team fight. Status jumps into a gauntlet. Not the best positioning, but he is now looking for the re-engage. Oh no, they've lost starting all over. This has gone terribly for Hammers. And it is going to be Gatsby charging on forward. A double kill for him. Nothing Status can do right now. He is low on energy. He has to disengage. Needs to get an Eve of Harvest into his inventory. Me feels he wants to be able to be effective here.
Crystal Sentry defeated.
Crystal Sentry eliminated by Tempo Storm. Moving over towards the turret. They don't have a minion wave to deal with, but maybe they can just burst it down with the immense amount of crit Gatsby has. He's got on a breaking point. That is insane. That is the strangest Kestrel build I have ever seen. He's making it work though. That's the turret going down.
I want to know what his last damage item is going to be, because that's going to tell us whether or not this is a stand and deliver Kestrel, or whether or not it's, you know, kind of a kite and fight once the build is fully there. I hope that he comes, you know, his strategy is more about kiting, because that is
Going very low. He's alright though. He is going to now move on back. Alright. Resetting the fight, Hammers. Looking to try and siege this turret up. Going to be it falling down. Ooh, maybe not. Gatsby got spot out, and Status does have to fall back now. One shot, one kill. Chicken will tank it up. Hammers going to disengage. Apparently now I'm being informed that I'm just an idiot. And it is Status, not Status. I don't know what anymore. How do you pronounce router? Do you pronounce it router or rooter?
like...
Is it grass or grass? Is it bath or bath?
No, we're not having this debate right now. The English language is
All right.
messed up enough as is, and we've got more than one kind of English, multiple dialects of English, multiple accents. It's just not worth it. What is worth it is that.
Alright. Another engage comes out. Gatsby going very low. Never form detonation finds the kill, bursting down onto Gatsby. It is now everyone
Double
spinning across
kill.
the Halcyon Fold. Starting all over has been freed. He's got himself a double kill, but he is going to be sent. Oh no, never mind. I was thinking he was going to be sent back to Bates. The good reflex block going to eat up the last turret shot. And Hammers finally crack open the turret. Hammers able to finally get that objective down. They're slowly but surely whittling away Tempo Storm.
Okay, so tension bow in for Gatsby. I was right, it is an armor-piercing item, but he just doesn't survive long enough for that to really matter. Still hasn't built up that additional shield, hasn't finished that reflex block and turned it into an Aegis, so status is just cutting them apart. Is still doing that on 2 damage items, so it's getting more than enough value out of the Dragon's Eye. And because there hasn't been a lot of shield built, he actually doesn't need his Broken Myth just yet. You just see smart itemization from him. Nobody has decided to actually build the defenses necessary to deal with his damage output, and he's been kind of left to finish off a Metal Jacket, become basically impossible for Gatsby to be able to kill, at least in a reasonable time, especially with the amount of healing that's coming out from Chicken. And it's just a great amount of just kind of movement from the side of Hollywood Hammers. They're never giving Tempo Storm either time to set up in Siege or even time to kind of catch their breath.
Another fight breaking out here. Never form detonation on top of Gatsby. He's in trouble. Status looking for the kill, but he can't quite find it, turning his attention onto Hyde, but a great gauntlet will trap him on up. He's double stunned. He's in trouble. Playboy Afro making the big moves. Can he escape the Reza right now is the question. Here comes Gatsby and Hyde to provide the threat, and Chicken gets deleted. Throws out a fountain as his last ever move. One shot comes on through, starting all over now, looking to crit on up, trying to put the damage out. Look at Hyde deleted. Gatsby now stunning up Status, but Status charging on forward. Gatsby should die in just a second, you feel, but maybe the Crystal Sentry can block up the potential damage. As Status trying his best to find this Kestrel. No energy regen, not a great sign for Status. Gatsby running as fast as he can. Bought himself some journey boots as well so he can escape. Status pops some boots of his own. There's going to be a spot out. Oh, he's found him. Could be Gatsby falling down. You'd think, maybe not. Status will
Ace.
survive. And starting all over will find the ace. What a crazy chase around the Halcyon Fold.
Just high mobility out of this Reza. When Reza came out, I was super excited for just what his kit brings to a team fight, what he brings to skirmishing, what he brings to, siege dive, and we're getting pretty much a full display of all of the capability you can do, especially now on this update where he's been buffed, the damage, the items are different for him, people are still trying to sort out how much value there is. Oh my god, goodbye Hyde.
Oh my goodness, deleted!
Valiant effort, but just at this point, Hollywood Hammers have complete control of the game. It's been a great attempt by Tempo to keep up in terms of items, but we still see no change in either Hyde or Gatsby's crystal power defenses. They have built no more shield. Like, that is just so quintessential that they are sitting on no shield with the 3-0-6 that is coming out from Status.
Oh, it's okay though, because Samuel does alright into Reza, so I'm told. It is just a hard counter, it's insane. I've beaten Tyras on Reza, on his Samuel, and I will hold that above his head for the rest of his life. Here comes the final engage. A gauntlet trapping up 2. Another one trapping up Status. Oh no, it's all gone wrong for Hammers. What a terrible dive onto the base. Starting all over, eats up the one shot. Now Tempo Storm trying their best to take down this Kraken. They are going to look for stunning all over, but he has escaped, so they will turn face back towards the Kraken. And they will be able to take it down before it eliminates the last turret here. Starting all over is playing a game of Chicken right now with Hyde. Hyde's willing to accept the challenge, has that Frostburn, but doesn't quite hit the Madison Verdict's slowdown starting. So it will be just this Kraken taken on down instead.
So, a good defense from the side of Tempo, you can kind of set up that siege, that poke, that defense when you are being pressured in on your crystal turrets. So, you know, optimal position for them, but they've never been able to find that out within the rest of the map. They've just been constantly either jumped on or forced to have to retreat into bad positions. Somebody's dying too quickly for them to either pull back to their crystal sentry as a defensive point or far enough back to turrets. And even then, Status is willing to dive them on those turrets. And just, I can't iterate more how these items have been built out. Status has been sitting on a 2-item power spike pretty much all game, probably about the last 10 to 15 minutes, you know, more or less, somewhere in that range. And just now we're finally starting to see those defensive items come out from the side of Tempo. Consider if they had built that, you know, had rushed out those Aegis before that 3rd item, maybe they survive some of these team fights, they go a little bit more even, and Hammers can't just set such an insane pace.
Oh, look at this engage coming out of Hammers. Hyde trying to kite back. Status will lay down the Netform detonator. Now he's going for even more. Everyone else is stuck in the gauntlet. Status is in trouble. This gets taken on Halcyon Fold. Hammers may have bit off more than they can chew. It's all on starting. Has he been freed or is he back to base dead? Great healing coming out of Chicken. It is going to be starting going for more. Gatsby trying to lay down the damage. Hyde on the other side. And they pin him down, take him out. Tempo turn the fight around. Problem with Reza is that often he's just too quick for his teammates to catch up here, Source. And when he can go through those gauntlets like nothing using his ultimate and the rest of his teammates are trapped in them, Status has just been isolating himself against Tempo.
Yeah, a combination of 2 things. One, being a little bit ahead of the pace of the play. Yes, if you can put things together, run full throttle, and they have, great initial engage, but War Treads comes out, gives everybody, a huge boost of speed. Everybody backs up from the side of Tempo, and Gatsby survives. He's got some of that defense. He's got that reflex block. He manages to keep himself alive throughout that fight, and now they should be able to pick up this Kraken. Unless Reza shows up in time for a steal, I don't think Chicken can stall long enough. He might actually make it.
Oh my god, Chicken stole the Kraken! He is a god amongst men. Hammers, pay that guy more. That is insane. And they've stopped the back ports on Hyde and Playboy Afro as well. Status, what can he do against this Samuel and this Arden? He's struggling just a little bit. Gatsby's there as well. Playboy Afro has made his way into the fight. Will they stun him? Yes, they do. Stunning takes a lot of damage, but Status is looking for the engage, looking to get on into the fight. Has to avoid that portal. They're looking to take down Playboy Afro. It's a grudge match between Starting and Playboy. You can see him. He wants the kill, but he doesn't quite get it. Playboy Afro survives, goes back in for seconds. Chicken in trouble. Playboy Afro just about survives. Gatsby moving on in to try and take down this box, but it doesn't matter. The Kraken is on the base and Status is there to lay down the damage. He may lose his life, but he's done enough work. The Kraken will be able to finish the job with just 2 more auto attacks. It is GG for Hollywood Hammers.
A little bit while longer to do it. The pace started to get slowed down a bit. They got pick after pick, and at the end of the day, it was pretty even. Items pretty even. It's just that Tempo couldn't really thrive throughout the map. They were very much condensed into small areas, and Hollywood Hammers put on a really good show.
Certainly did. Status able to shut down Hyde's ability during the mid-game that allowed Hammers to get ahead, and even through some perhaps